Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is May 7th, 2025, and today we're going to be talking about the aftermath of Barcelona's exit out of the Champions League, from discussing the statements of Jean Laporta, the players, and even the statements of the clown, the referee, from yesterday's match. Also, I'm going to tell you the two signings that Hansi Flick wants to make. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting a discussion going. For those of you who be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys, including the Travis Scott jersey, you can head to Kickback, Goal Kits, or Fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, you're feeling lucky, you want to bet on the Clasico match this weekend, make sure you hit the Bet Us. The links are in the description. You click on them, you're going to get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's start with the news. And as always, the first segment of news is several bits of news combined together. And it goes with the theme of today, which is, of course, Barcelona's defeat at the hands of Inter Milan yesterday in the second leg of the Champions League. 4-3 or 7-6 on aggregate, which was, of course, as I said many times yesterday during the post-match live analysis or during my video, it was definitely a tough defeat. It was very sad defeat because this team really showed that they could go all the way, right? This is not like crashing out of the Champions League last season or the season before, where you're kind of like, all right, like, I hope we go far, but I don't really have faith that we're going to go far, because even last season when we were in the quarterfinals, it was kind of like, all right, we're there, but we're there kind of by the grace of God, not by what the team is doing. But this team, on the other hand, we made it all the way to the semifinals by being the best team in Europe. I still think Barcelona are the best team in Europe. I think Barcelona were better than Inter Milan in both legs. But unfortunately, luck was not on our side, and unfortunately, we did lose. But however, I'm still proud of this team, and I still think that it's not the end, not at all. In fact, it's the beginning. This team is really good. This team is very young. We have a team that can dominate Europe for the next 10 years, and with some more experience, with more time to playing together, with more time playing under Flick, with some reinforcements, I think this team could be even better. And I think this is just the beginning. This is just the benchmark that the team has set, and that things will only go up. Now, Hansi Flick did give this team a day off today because they were really tired. They played 2 extra halves, plus the whole mental exhaustion from losing the semifinal. Hansi Flick did give the team day off, and it has been revealed what Hansi Flick told the players in the locker room, what his message were to the players after the match. And this is what the German coach had to say: I am proud of each and every one of you. This team stood up until the end. We will come back stronger. The season continues, and Barcelona's ambition remains intact. So I, like Hansi Flick, also am very proud of every single player, maybe for the exception of 1 or 2 players. I don't want to get into names because this is not the time for it, but I'm very proud of these players, and I agree with Hansi Flick. We will come back stronger because, like I said, this team will only go and get better. And plus, the final message in Hansi Flick's message to the players is that, well, the season's not over. We still have La Liga to fight for. We're only 4 points out of Real Madrid. We have a Clasico match during this weekend that we need to win in order to add a 3rd trophy to Barcelona's season. Now, Jean Laporta also went down from the presidential box to the locker room to motivate the players. And this is what the Barcelona's president message was to the team. You can go out with your heads held high. The fans are very proud of you. We're going to do it again, and we're going to do it even better. So once again, I also agree with Laporta, not just with Hansi Flick, because, again, very proud of these players, very proud of what they did. They left it all on the field. And like Laporta and like Flick said, this team is going to do it better. We have a team that can dominate Europe for the next 10 years. This is kind of like the Pep Guardiola team, where we had a young Messi, a young Boozy, a young Piqué, young Xavi, young Iniesta, and you're like, all right, not only are they great right now, but we know they're going to be great for many years to come because they're young. And this is kind of like it, except even younger, right? We have a 17-year-old Lamine Yamal. We have an 18-year-old Pau Cubarsí. I mean, we have a very, very young squad that's only going to get better as they get older because they're going to get more experience. They're going to mature. Their bodies are going to mature. They're also going to get better because they're going to spend more time playing together. They're going to get better because they're going to spend more time playing under Flick. And then with some reinforcements, this team is only going to get better. Now, Lamine Yamal also had a message for all Barcelona fans, a very heartfelt message that he posted on his Instagram account. This is the rough translation of what Lamine Yamal had to say. But Lamine said, "We've given it our all. This year, it wasn't possible. But we'll be back. Have no doubt about it, culés. We won't stop until we leave this club where it deserves to be, at the top. I will keep my promise and bring her to Barcelona. We won't stop until we achieve that. But Sunday is another final, and we all have to be together. Visca Barça, or Long Live Barça, which is the translation of Visca Barça. Very beautiful message from Lamine Yamal, who, let's not forget, he's only 17-year-old. He's only a child. And for him to get in front of the world, show his face after this defeat, and tell everyone, don't worry, we're still going to fight. We have a final against Real Madrid this weekend. We're going to go out and fight, and that he promises to bring Barcelona to the top, which is where this club belongs. Amazing, amazing message by Lamine Yamal. Great message by Laporta and by Flick to the squad. And I wanted to share these messages with you because, of course, I agree with all these messages. I think this team will only going to get stronger, going to get better. And this is only the beginning of yet another golden chapter in Barcelona's history. Now, as you know, of course, El Clásico match is this weekend. If Barcelona win, they would be 7 points ahead of Real Madrid with only 3 matches left, which would give us a chance to win win La Liga against Espanyol. Because if we win against Espanyol with 2 matches left, that's it. It's mathematically impossible for Madrid to come back. And the reason I bring Espanyol, because as you might remember from a previous video, I stated that La Liga were considering banning fans from Espanyol Stadium. Because, well, they're a bunch of animals. They have been repeated incidents with the Espanyol fans. Let's not forget, by the way, this incident. Remember when Barcelona won La Liga 2 seasons ago? They won it at Espanyol Stadium. The fans invaded the pitch with sticks, with weapons, with whatever they could find, try to injure Barcelona players. Of course, that season they got relegated to second division. Last season, they were in second division. They came back first division this season. And once again, they're acting like the animals that they are. Started with an incident in the Villarreal match where Villarreal beat Espanyol 1-2. And one of the fans threw a cup that hit the referee in the chest. And most recently against Real Betis, where Real Betis won 1-2 again with a late goal of Anthony. And the fans start hurling lighters, all kinds of objects on the field, trying to hurt Real Betis' players. So La Liga were considering banning the fans for the match between Barcelona and Espanyol, and, well, guess what? They're not going to do it. So La Liga once again embarrassed themselves with how they handle these incidents, because apparently if you punch a player, that's okay. Valverde's case. If you almost break a player's leg, that's also okay, like Mbappe. If you throw things at the referee, like Rudiger did, that's okay. They only get a 6-match ban. If you tell the referee, fuck off, like Bellingham, that's also okay. If you invade the pitch and try to hurt players, that's okay. If you throw things and hit the referee, also okay. I mean, when is this going to stop? I just don't understand. But anyways, let's go back, or let's start with the chat section, and then we are going to talk about the refereeing yesterday, because even though it's not an excuse for Barcelona's loss, we do have to talk about it, including his statements from the referee himself. Now, let's start with Java the Hut, who says that hopefully learns from this that you can't just play Koundé and Balde, even if you don't have reliable fullbacks there, still needs to rotation. I mean, Balde has been rotated plenty. Koundé was not rotated as much. He still was rotated. But with Kunde is a special case, right? With Kunde, he's one of those players that needs to play to not get injured, if that makes sense. Which they do exist players like that. And that the proof, right, is in the numbers, right? Lukunde has been playing nonstop since November 2023. Xabi didn't rest him. Flake didn't rest him. Francis coach didn't rest him because he's one of those players. Well, where he has to continue playing to avoid getting injury. Even at the times that he has been rested by Flick, he has been spotted running around around the neighborhood, Castel de Fez, where all the players live. On the days that Flick has given a day off to the team, Kunde has shown up to training to the Ciudad Esportiva to train. I mean, he's just that kind of guy that just needs to keep going. But as far as Balde, I mean, my God, Balde has been rotated way too much. Jason says, hey, Mo, I know yesterday's loss sucked, but on the bright side, my 1-week-old son was watching the game with me. That is beautiful, my friend. Congratulations on your son. And it's a very beautiful thing to be able to share this passion with your son. I'm sure as he, gets older and starts, I'm sure when he becomes a Barcelona fan, hopefully, when he gets older, he's always going to remember these memories. So really beautiful thing, my friend. Congratulations on your son. And Aaron says, what's the state of Nike deal? I mean, it was signed last year. I don't know what exactly are you asking, my friend. That was signed back in October. So what is that? 8 months ago? Yeah. McKay says, we are conceding too many goals, even though we score a lot of goals. And I know the high line is a high risk, high reward, but we must find a way to stop conceding so many goals. False. We do not need to find a way to stop conceding so many goals. I've said this a million times, and in fact, we're going to talk about it today because Jordi Cruyff has talked about this topic. We don't need to stop conceding so many goals. We just need to outscore the opponent. It's that simple. That's the Barcelona DNA in its flesh. You cannot be a Barca fan and preach Barca DNA and preach Cruyffism, and then in the same sentence say we cannot concede so many goals. Those are two opposite things. It's like being an Atletico Madrid fan and saying, I love that we park the bus, but we cannot keep parking the bus. What? It's like, it's an oxymoron, right? Nathan Ford says it's time to sell Araujo, Ferran, Ansu Fati, and probably Frankie de Jong for the club to get 180 million if it's possible, plus trophies won. I'm okay with that. I would sell Araujo for sure. If he exercises his exit clause, we can probably get the 65 million for him. Ansu, I don't know how much we can get for him, honestly, maybe 5 or 10. Ferran, maybe 20, 25. That puts us what? 70, 80, 90, 100. Frankie de Jong, no one's going to pay you more than 50, so maybe 150. I don't know about 180. But let's not forget, it's all going to depend on whether we are on the 1-1 rule. So, because if we're not under the 1-1 rule, it doesn't matter, right? Because if we make 150 million euros from sales, we're only going to be able to use a third of it or a quarter of it or half of it, depending on what rule they put us under. So it's not just let's sell players, get money, and sign new ones. It's also going to depend on whether we're under the 1-1 rule. But I'm okay with all those players leaving, to be honest. Chris Allen says, hey, Mo, keep up with the great content. I can't be the only one that thinks that ref had nothing to do with yesterday. The thing that lost the game for us is poor game management. I agree. Like I always said, the referee cannot be an excuse. We could talk about the referee. We could talk about how terrible the decisions were, the mistakes, etc. But at the end of the day, you have to do your job on the field, and you have to play well enough to eliminate those the referee mistakes, right? We were up 2-3 with only 4 or 5 minutes to go, and we conceded a goal. And that goal came from very stupid defensive mistakes, and that shouldn't have happened. So referee or not, we needed to do a better job of holding on to the lead, of closing the match. We weren't able to, so we can't just blame the referee. Anyways, let's get back to the news, because since you did mention the referee, well, that's a good segue. Because, again, like I just said, the referee is not an excuse. We cannot blame the referee for Barcelona's defeat. As Cruyff always said, he always only focuses on what he can control. That's something that Flick has said multiple times. And the referee is not something you can control, nor the pitch, nor the weather, nor nothing. So all you can focus on is what you do on the field. And if you do your job correctly, the refereeing mistakes become irrelevant, right? If you are barely winning matches 1-0, 2-1, sure, a referee mistake is going to affect you a lot more because you're drawn 1-1 or you're up 1-0, and then the referee makes a mistake, gives a penalty to the other team. Now you're drawn. But if you do your job correctly and you outscore your opponent 3-0, 2-0, and maybe he gives them a penalty by mistake, it becomes a little bit more diluted, and more so when the scoreline is even bigger and bigger. So the referee cannot be an excuse, but nonetheless, we do need to talk about the refereeing yesterday. And again, I'm not blaming the referee. We were up 2-3 with only a few minutes left, and we conceded a goal through defensive mistakes. Those mistakes shouldn't have happened, and we could have still won with or without the referee mistakes. So that's not an excuse, but we do have to talk about it because the referee yesterday was horrendous. It's not the first time. He's been horrendous before. We all know the Madridista, Marciniak. There's that famous picture of him in the locker room with his toiletry bag with the Real Madrid logo on it. He's a referee who canceled Julian Alvarez's goal for the double touch, the penalty for the double touch against Atletico Madrid. He's the one who canceled Bayern Munich's perfectly legal goal against Real Madrid again. And the VAR referee is the same VAR referee that failed to see Dumfries' clear handball in the penalty box 2 seasons ago against Barcelona in the Champions League. So we've seen this story before. We saw it again yesterday. And of course, a lot of the players have complained. A lot of players made statements against the referee. Flick mentioned it briefly in his statement, and while Joan Laporta did as well. Now, this is what the Barcelona president had to say. We fought to reach the final, but it wasn't possible. The reason for this is mainly due to the refereeing decisions that harmed us. This should make us stronger. It should make us stronger to have the mentality to win the league. Yesterday's defeat was very close, and we couldn't achieve it. We fought to get there, but it wasn't possible. Now, I do disagree with the part that says we couldn't make it mainly because of the refereeing. I don't think that was the main reason. But nonetheless, we do have to talk about it. Now, Gavi also had a message that he posted on his social media accounts, and this is what the Barcelona player had to say. It's very tough, especially knowing how close we were as Barca fans. They didn't want us to reach the final because they were scared of the season we're having. It doesn't matter how many years we've gone without winning the Champions League, although I know it's very tough, and I'd love to win it every year. I'm sure we'll win it if we're all together. I know it will happen. Let's tear up Montjuic on Sunday and win. As hot as we are now, we can close out this season by winning 3 titles. So Gavi also aiming a dig at the refereeing, but then ending his message with clear motivation or clear message that this team is going to go out there on Sunday, try to beat Real Madrid because it is another final. We have to win it. If we do, La Liga is pretty much ours. Now, what are these people talking about? Why is Gavi complaining? Why is Laporta complaining? Why did Flick complain? Why did Eddie Garcia complain? Why did every pundit, expert, legends of the football, including Wegener, who all came out and talked about how horrendous the refereeing is? Well, let's look at the images, right? Because I'm not just here to tell you, referee sucked. Why? Because he sucked. No, that's not how it works. Here, we give our opinions based on facts, based on data. Let's start with this first one, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll make it bigger for the haters who love to come to this channel. This is the goal. This is Inter Milan's 3rd goal. Gerard Martin has the ball. There comes Dumfries. Studs up. Fouls Gerard Martin. Takes the ball away from him. And ends an Inter Milan's goal. This is a clear foul on Gerard Martin. This should have at least, I'm not even saying cancel the goal, but at least should have been checked by the VAR. Yet the VAR didn't check it. We didn't see any replays on the TV. Nothing. But when Cubarsí tackled Lautaro Martinez, I mean, we saw every angle, every repetition from every angle, slow motion, fast, normal speed. They zoomed in, they zoomed out. The referee went to the VAR. I mean, it was like they were investigating a murder. But here, no big deal. No VAR, no replays, nothing. But yet the image is clear. This is a foul. Unless you count Gerard Martin's leg as the ball. I don't know. I guess it's an extension of it. Next one. Lamine Yamal. Clearly being brought down inside the box. Now, the initial tackle was outside the box. But the thing is, the initial tackle is not what brings Lamine Yamal down. The initial tackle makes contact. Lamine keeps on running. And with the momentum of that tackle, the Inter Milan player keeps sliding and then catches Lamine Yamal a second time. And that's when he brings him down. The referee just looked at the first initial tackle, which was outside the box, said free kick, and that's it, even though the tackle continued and brought down Lamine Yamal clearly inside the box. I mean, look, there's the image. Look in the square. Look where Lamine Yamal is going down. No VAR check. Nothing. No replays. No big deal. It's just Barcelona. And then there's this one. The clear handball by the Inter Milan defender. And by the way, this is not the arm he was, there's always the excuse, well, he was leaning on his arm. Or he was, no, this is his other arm. Extended. Can't even say it was close to the body. Blocks the path of the ball, which is headed towards goal. Clear penalty, 2 penalty kicks, and a foul that led to Inter Milan's goal that, again, at least have the decency and go to the VAR. But no. And then they say, why is Barcelona complaining? But look at these images and tell me why we shouldn't complain. Again, not an excuse for the defeat, but why should we complain? Now, the Polish referee, was asked about the statements that the players have been making, the Barcelona players. And of course, the gentleman that he is, he took responsibility for his mistakes and he apologized. Just kidding. That's not what happened. This is what Marciniak had to say. Their comments are ridiculous. What can I say about these stupid comments? So not only are the comments ridiculous, they're also stupid. I did not hurt anyone. I am ready for anything. Inter's third goal was definitely valid. Definitely valid. Definitely valid. Anyways, let's do the comment section, and then we are gonna talk about Jordi Cruyff, who had some statements about yesterday's match, because I see people, it's understandably so. People are upset. They're disappointed. So of course, human nature. They gotta look for a scapegoat. People sometimes just can't accept that things sometimes don't go your way. So they have to find a way. And now people are blaming Flick. Why didn't he park the bus? Why didn't he defend? And now Jordi Cruyff talked about it. So we are going to read those comments and go over this. But let's first read your comments in the chat section. Chris Allen says, hey, Mo, keep up. Oh, wait, that's the last one I read. Sorry. Hart says, hey, Mo, girlfriend is going to Barcelona for a Clásico. Is there anything you would recommend doing there? She has tickets to the club museum too. Wow, that's amazing, man. That's amazing that your girlfriend's going to be able to see that. I've never seen an official Clásico. I've seen preseason Clásicos, but never an actual Clásico. So that's really, really cool. What would I recommend? I would recommend to go to Cataluña's coast, not Barcelona's coast. It's called Costa Brava. They compare it to the Amalfi Coast, or they call it the Amalfi Coast of Spain. It's south of Barcelona. You can rent a car. There's also a train. There's also a bus. It's the coast. They have all these little towns sitting on cliffs overlooking the Mediterranean. It's very, very beautiful. I would recommend a trip to Girona. You could take the train there. It's like an hour. Girona is really cool. It's a really cool small town. That's what I would recommend. And besides that, the main attractions in in the city of Barcelona, the Gothic Quarter, the Sagrada Familia. There's a lot to see and eat. Great food in Barcelona as well. Just stay away from the tourist traps. If there's someone sitting outside the restaurant trying to convince you to go in, don't go in. Also, be careful with pickpocketers. Lots of pickpocketers there. Have your stuff in your front pocket, cell phone and keys, whatever, in the front pocket. Especially on the subways, they have a trick where when the subways is crowded, they go in and they bump into you like, "Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, it's so quick," boop, and they snatch something. So be careful with pickpocketers, and that's it. Triple X says, Mo, we seriously have some unworthy average players. Yes, we do. We need to sell all the deadwoods over protected by the sentimental fans and get a quality left winger, striker, and 2 fullbacks, or else same shit will happen. I agree 100%. I think yesterday it was clear that there are some players who are just not up to par. Unfortunately, we just don't have the money. We don't have the financial fair play to make all those signings all at once. I would love to bring a left winger who can dribble, 2 fullbacks that can compete with Conde and Balle, and a striker, a young striker that could compete with Lewandowski this last season and then eventually replace him. I would love that. I would love to do all that at once. Unfortunately, we don't have the money and we don't have the financial fair play. So we're gonna have to prioritize, right? What are the priorities? Don't worry, that's coming in the next segment. I'll tell you what are Hansi Flick's priorities. But yeah, unfortunately, we just cannot make all those signings all at once. Mez says, everything was against Barcelona this Inter tie, from refs being against us, having 3 crucial injuries, not having luck on our side, hitting the post a million times, second leg at San Siro. I agree with you. Unfortunately, that's how the Champions League is. The Champions League is cruel. It's a knockout stage. After the group stage, it's knockouts. It's a short tournament where luck could easily, like a lot of things have to happen for you to win it or get to the final. And that's why a lot of times, like Real Madrid, the last few seasons, a lot of times not the best team wins it, because sometimes you can have the best team still getting knocked out because of luck, because the ref, because that's the thing about knockouts tournaments, right? One mistake, you could be amazing. There'd be 12 games total. You could be amazing for 10, and then one small mistake in the 11th match, you're out, right? And that's why the league is the true measure of consistency, because in the league you might have one bad match, you can still win it, or you could get lucky in one match and still lose it, right? So that's why the league is the true measure of consistency. Whether in the Champions League, a lot of things have to go in your favor, not just you being better, but luck, injuries, refs, scheduling, a lot of things have to go your way. And that's why it's a cruel tournament. Charles says, hi, Mo. I was surprised that Flick didn't bring in Christensen to help the defense after we scored the 3rd goal. Barca played against Inter and our haters. I'm proud of my team, Visca Barca. Yeah, honestly, I would have preferred to bring in Christensen over Araujo, but I feel like it was more of a calculated risk, I guess, because, Christensen has been out for 9 months, so he's still not in his full competitive form, versus Araujo has been playing more minutes. So I think that was probably what Flick was trying to do. But I guess hindsight, right? But yeah, I would have preferred to have Christensen. And Jordan says also about Araujo, has anyone else noticed that he came back way more muscular after his recovery? Too muscular. I think they focus too much on his body and not enough on his technical and tactical. I mean, recovery, you don't really focus on your technical abilities. In the recovery, you're focusing on healing. Technical abilities gets developed during training when you're already healthy. Curtis says there are a lot of referees, teams, and fans hate us because of the Pep era. They carry grudges up until today. We need to build a team and destroy them again. I mean, I think we have a team that is capable of doing that for the next several years, for the next 10 years. And I think people fear that. It's like Gabi said, they were afraid of the season we were making, because this would have been historical, not only because a treble is always historical. Only a handful of clubs in the entire history of the sport have won a treble. And not only would it be historical because it would be the only club with 3 trebles, but it would be historical because it was Barcelona's first season under Flick with a very young squad and no signings. And that would have been incredibly scary. And that's why people are so happy now. But what they don't realize is that these players are very young And these players are going to be haunting their nightmares for the next 10 years. So if they're celebrating now, be careful, because you got to be crying for many, many more seasons to come. But anyways, let's talk about Jordi Cruyff, the son of the legendary Johan Cruyff, because he had some words yesterday about Barcelona's defeat. Because, of course, a lot of people are coming out and saying, oh, Flick, his high line, offside trap, why didn't he park the bus? Yeah. Like I said before, the comment section, unfortunately, that's human nature. When we face disappointment, when something doesn't go our way, sometimes we just cannot accept that sometimes things just don't work out. We always need a reason, right? That's human psychology. We always need a scapegoat. It's someone's fault. It's something's fault. Someone has to be at fault in order for us to deal with this disappointment. And while a lot of people have been, oh, it's Flick's fault. It's the fact that he brought in Lewandowski. It's the fact that he didn't park the bus. It's the fact that he didn't defend. And well, Jordi Cruyff has spoken about this exact thing. And this is what the son of the legendary Johan Cruyff had to say. Yes, I think my father could choose a way to play football. It would be the way we're playing. And if we have to lose, let it be with honor. Let it be with enjoyment. I have to admit it was a spectacular tie, and we lost with honor and with it in our grasp. There was a moment when we felt like we were in the final. It was almost a done deal, and I don't know how it turned out the way it did. My father would be very proud of the team, of how they played, of their intentions and everything. If we have to lose, let it be with pride, the way we did. Jordi Cruyff making it very, very clear that this is the way Johan Cruyff intended it. And I talked about this before, and I'll say it again for those in the back and for those who maybe didn't see the video. If you want to talk about Barcelona DNA, true Barca DNA, which a lot of Barca fans seem to not comprehend what it is. You ask fans, what is the Barca DNA? And they tell you things like, oh, it's tiki-taka. Oh, it's short passes. It's first touch passes. It's Pep Guardiola. It's none of that. The Barcelona DNA is pretty easy. It's winning, but winning by playing in an entertaining way. How? It's not by parking the bus, like a lot of these people are asking for. No. By advancing your lines, attacking, creating chances, playing beautiful football. What happens when you do all these things? You are exposed. That's the name of the game. You either defend and you don't score any goals, or maybe one, and you win 1-0, or you attack with everything you got and you score 4 or 5 goals, but guess what? You're also going to get scored on. You can have it both ways. It's one or the other. And well, the way Johan Cruyff intended it is the latter, not the former. And that's why Johan Cruyff famously said, I'd rather win 5-4 than win 1-0. You might ask, well, what's the difference? You're still winning by a 1-goal difference. The difference is that a 5-4 is one hell of a spectacle. That's one hell of a match versus a 1-0. It's a pretty boring match. And again, Barcelona DNA is not just about winning, no matter how. It's about winning through entertainment. Because after all, the sport of football is entertainment. And no one wants to watch a team park the bus for 90 minutes. That's not entertainment. So Jordi Cruyff making it very clear that the way Flick played yesterday, the way the team played yesterday, is how Johan Cruyff intended it to be. And honestly, aside from Pep, Flick is probably the closest coach to play how Johan Cruyff intended it to be. The true Barca DNA, which people are so happy to praise and be like, ooh, Barca DNA when the team is winning. But the moment they lose, they're like, oh, park the bus. Can't have it both ways. You either love the Barca DNA and you want to continue seeing it. And if not, there's Atletico Madrid, there's Leganés, there's Getafe. There are plenty of teams that park the bus. Go watch them. Have at it. Have fun. But here at Barca, I don't think so. And people say, well, if you get scored on 7 times, you're not going to make it to the final. How about if you score 6? You think that's enough to make it to a final? Because people are acting like Barcelona lost 7-0. We lost 7-6. 1 goal difference. But like I said, human nature. When things don't go our way, we have to find a culprit. Doesn't matter who it is. The grass, the sun, God. Someone has to be at blame. And the fact is, sometimes things just don't go your way. That's it. You learn from it. You get better. You come back stronger. Heads don't need to roll all the time. Anyways, let's continue with the chat section. Not start. We've been on the chat section. And then we are going to talk about the 2 signings that Hansi Flick wants to make. All right, let's see. Onyekachi says, irrespective of the loss, I'm so proud of the team. I was even surprised they put up an unexpected fight against Inter Milan. I was actually confident that we'll be able to compete with Inter Milan. I said it time and time again, and we did. We competed with against Inter Milan on both legs. I mean, we're talking about an Inter Milan a project that's been going on for 3 years now, a project that's been slowly cooking, where the players have been learning to play together, improving individually, learning to play under their coach, reinforcements. I mean, gaining experience, and that's a mature project. A 3-year project is a mature project versus a brand new project full of kids. And yet they were very close to being eliminated. So I'm very proud of this team. Carlos says, that's why Barca games are so entertaining. High risk, high reward, many goals every time. 100% agree with you. Again, it's the essence of what Barcelona DNA is. And for people who don't understand it, I don't know how else to explain it. I've explained it a million times, and I still see the same comments. We should park the bus. No, we should not. Switch says, hi, Mo, been a while. What's your view in relation to the refereeing, and what are your thoughts about improvement in possible position purchases that we may need to pay attention to? So I already discussed the refereeing. As far as the positions, like I said, left winger, striker, 2 fullbacks, that's what we need. But unfortunately, we just cannot buy all at once, which sucks. But you could thank Bartomeu for that. You could partly thank Xavi for that. We spent 300 million on his signings. Most of them were crap. Mark says, get Araujo, Martin, Fort, Victor, Fati out of my club. Get quality depth so we can't depend on a handful of players. Time to get serious. I mean, that's a lot of players, my friend. That's a lot of players. Who gives a AFCK says, when Bernal, Casado, and Noah Darvic are at your disposal, you can easily miss Frankie de Jong, so I'm up for selling him, but Araujo, Ansu, and Ferran are the trio that needs to go. Sorry. Yeah, I wouldn't miss Frankie either, but I agree. Mabi says, I agree, this referee was horrible, but let's not joke around. We're low quality in the midfield first half. Araujo relies too much on his physical strength, which does not work on the people he cannot be. Yeah, we really did struggle a lot during the first half. Our midfield was pretty much non-existent. And this is why I say I wouldn't miss Frankie. Because that's the thing. When you need Frankie to show up, he doesn't. And when you don't need him to show up, he gives you one hell of a match. And we can't have that. You know, these are the kind of matches where you need players, veteran players, players with experience, players that have been around the club for a long time, players that have competed at the highest level in all different competitions when you need them to show up. And they did it. Rafinha didn't show up. Frankie didn't show up. Araujo didn't show up. And these are the veterans, the experienced players. All 3 captains. Who showed up? A 17-year-old child named Lamine Yamal. That's who showed up. Eric Garcia, who's never played in that position. That's who showed up. Gerard Martin, who had a terrible first half, but he fought until the end. He couldn't even run anymore, but he showed up. He lacks the quality, unfortunately, but at least his heart was in it. Pedri. You know, all these youngsters, they're the ones who showed up. Gabi, when he came in. But the ones you expect to show up, they did it. And if you want to win the Champions League, those are the players who should be showing up. We shouldn't have to be relying on a 17-year-old child. Child, guys. It's a child. He's not even an adult yet. We shouldn't have to rely on him. You know, when Messi came up, he had a lot of experienced veteran players around him who had the responsibility of scoring and winning matches. So he didn't have to worry about that. All he had to focus is on his development, on playing with no pressure, because he had other players around him that were expected to make a difference, to change outcome of matches. But here we have Lamine Yamal, who's 17, and he has to put the team on his back because the veterans like Frankie, like Araujo, like Rafinha just don't show up. But anyways, let's see. Kano says, I still completely disagree with blaming the loss on Araujo. 2 goals came before he even came on. One was great number shot that Tech should have stopped. The other 2 other players, I mean, it's not fully his fault, but he's also partly to blame because the last 2 goals were definitely his fault. And that's not the problem, right? It's not, the problem is not just, Araujo made mistakes in the last 2 goals. The problem is the pattern, right? Because all players make mistakes. Inevitable. All players make mistakes. All players will make mistakes. But when you're consistently making mistakes, that's when it becomes a problem. Cuarci got expelled one time. Remember that red card? That's fine. We're not going to be here. Oh, got a red card. Get him out of here. That guy is trash. But if now Cuarci starts doing that all the time, then maybe it's time to consider, right? And that's the problem with Araujo. It's not that he made those mistakes. It's that he's been making those mistakes and that he's made those mistakes in very crucial times, like against PSG last season and now against Inter Milan. That's the problem. It's when it becomes a pattern. A mistake every now and then, that's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. We're human. We're not robots. But that's the problem. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news because we do have to talk about the 2 signings that Hansi Flick has or wants Barcelona to make. Now, it's no secret that Dumfries was an absolute dagger in our Barcelona defense. He was a nightmare. He was very, very difficult to mark. He's not just only physically gifted, but he's very technically gifted, strong, fast, can defend, can attack, great passing, great vision, crosses, scoring ability. And he is a complete fullback, which is the kind of fullback that Barcelona want. And as such, that's what Flick is looking for. That's what Flick wants Barcelona to sign. Someone that resembles the profile of Dumfries. Not Dumfries himself, but someone like him. Someone that can defend, someone that can attack, someone that has speed, strength, technical ability, all of the above, which is what Dumfries showed that he had plenty of in the 2 legs against Inter Milan. The other reinforcement Hansi Flick wants is, of course, the left wing. Our team is unbalanced. We have Lamine on the right, and that's it. No one else to extend the pitch. No one else that can go through defenders on the left. It's just Lamine. He's the only winger that can do what he does on the right side, and we need someone else to balance it on the left side. And that's the 2 signings that Flick wants Barcelona to make. A fullback that resembles Dumfries and the left winger with dribbling or 1v1 abilities. Now, there's more because the prerequisite for any of these 2 positions is that Flick wants a player that can make a difference. Someone that can come on the field and change the outcome of the match, or at least help change the outcome of the match. And if Barcelona cannot bring that kind of signing, a left winger or a fullback that can make a difference like Dumfries did. Dumfries participated in almost all the goals. I think he scored 2 the first half, assisted 1 and scored 2 in the first leg. I think he assisted in Inter Milan's 4th goal on aggregate, if memory serves me well. So that's what Flick wants for both positions, the left wing and the fullback, is players that can have an impact on the match. And if Barcelona cannot do that, then Flick would rather not have a signing. Because if we're just going to sign for the sake of signing, just bring anyone, Flick rather than not to bring anyone, because we need players that make difference. Because that's the difference between making it to the final and not. Yesterday, Inter Milan's goalkeeper, Sommer, is who made the difference. Not only did he have miraculous stops, but he is the reason why Inter Milan are through the final. And that's the kind of players you want, right? Because you want players that can, when things are so level like they were between Barcelona and Inter Milan, you want that player that can tip the scales a little bit more in your favor. We have Lamine right now, but we need more. And that's what Flick wants from Barca. All right, that's all the news, but let's do comments. Abdallah says the players give their all except Ronald Araujo, who failed to mark his man, who scored the equalizer goal, plus the bad referee officiating. And Van Lee says, I think we should double down on flick ball, sign in Frimpong, move Kunde in the middle with Kouarsi. I have Inigo and Christensen and Eric as backups. Can you imagine Frimpong? No, I would never replace Inigo with Kunde. It just doesn't make sense. Inigo and Kouarsi are the two strongest defensive pairings that we've had in a very long time. Why would you mess with that? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Luis Rodriguez says Araujo sale could help bring one of the Nico, Frimpong, Grimaldo. Also help with any bonuses we give Ta. I'll help fullback spots and CB opening from selling Araujo. Defense needs improvement first. The problem with that, again, it's going to depend on whether we're going to be under the 1-1 rule or not. Because if we're under the 1-1 rule and we sell Araujo for 65 million, we can use the 65 million to sign someone else. But if we're under the 1-2 rule, for example, then if you make 65 off Araujo, you can only use 32 million and a half to sign someone else. So it's not as easy as that. Now, don't get me wrong, I still want Araujo out, but it's not going to be as easy as saying, oh, get him out and then bring someone else as immediately in his place, right? It's just going to depend on our financial fair play. But yes, please get Araujo out. Alex Narnia says Jordan Hyde. I still don't know if he can provide those numbers. Lewa can. It's too soon to bet on him. We are broke. We can't buy any signings. And Chris says, Mo, that doesn't sound logical when you are a goal up with seconds to go. Well, here's the thing. There's two ways of defending, right? You can park the bus and wait for the opponent and let the opponent have the ball and wait for them to attack. Or you could defend by keeping the ball. And that's how Barcelona have always defended. Ball possession. Because if you have the ball, they can't score because you need the ball to score. So yes, that does make sense. And it seems to make sense every time it works, except the one time it doesn't work. All of a sudden, we want to throw it all out, and we should have parked the bus, and we should have defended with 11 players. Where were those comments all this season? Because we've been playing the same way all this season. That's what gave us the 4-0 against Madrid. That's what gave us the 4-1 against Bayern. That's what gave us the 5-2 against Madrid. That's what gave us the 3-2 against Madrid. That's what gave us the Spanish Super Cup. That's what gave us the Copa del Rey. That's what gave us the 20-plus thrashings. That's what gave us the 8 remontadas. All those times, it was fine. But this one time we lose, all of a sudden, the system is shit. We need to park the bus. The high line sucks. The offside trap sucks. Well, that's pretty convenient. It works 50 times and nothing wrong with that. But the one time it fails, all of a sudden it's all shit. That what doesn't make sense. Bojan says, this is footballing IQ that Hansi Flick is lacking. I'm not even going to bother reading the rest because that right there is just, that's all I need to know about this comment. Cedar says, we don't need to park the bus, but we can back the back line a bit at least and keep the fucking ball when we up to the 3 with a few minutes left. Deco told Hansi to do this versus Atletico, and he did. That was not a park. I mean, here's the thing. That goal from Inter Milan, it's not like we were caught with our pants down. That's the thing. People are like, oh, we got to help. Did you even watch how that goal happened? All defenders were in the box. It's not like we were attacking all the way up and our defense was in the middle of the field and we got caught red-handed with our pants down with no one in the back. Everybody was in the back and they still scored. Why? Well, it starts with the foul with Gerard Martin and then it ends with the defense not marking their men. So I don't understand. Like, what are we talking about here exactly? Noel says it has been an amazing season for us. Champions League or not, we show up, we play with intention and a plan. This will be a winning team for years to come if we make proper signings. Amen, my friend. And Alex Darnia says, Jordan. Oh, wait. I already read that. Normal Timo says, would have to see the Joel Hato at Barca for backup for Balde. And Greeks the Kid says, might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel that Flick got it wrong. Do you think we can make some transfers this summer? Transfer this summer, again, it's going to depend whether we get under the 1-1 rule or not. Meta Gamer says, Salam Mo, how about the new rule that they are adding to La Liga, such as the 2 free signings and 1 signing with no limit per season? So that goes effect into the summer. Again, we're just going to have to wait and see where we at. We cannot plan. I mean, we can think about signings that we can make, but until we know exactly what our position is, that's the problem. And plus, we need the money too. It's not just about the registration of the players. It's also having the money to spend on transfer fees. Berkey says, I'm proud of my team. We should stop complaining about one loss. Only thing the system needs is more good backup players to help when our main players are tired or injured. Exactly. Look, there is no perfect system. Every system has a strength or its weaknesses. What makes a system work or not work is the players. You can park the bus every game and still lose every game if you're not parking the bus the right way. The same way you can have a high line and lose every game if you don't know how to apply the high line, or win every game if you apply it to a perfection. So it's not about the system. It's about how you execute the system. And if you don't execute it well, it's not going to work no matter what system you have. So stop with the nonsense of parking the bus and blah, blah, blah and changing the system. It's not about the system. You pick a system, you stick to it, you perfect it. If you cannot apply the system's not going to work, whether it's parking the bus or having a high line. You can still park the bus and lose every match. Leganés, Getafe, all those teams park the bus every single match, and yet they still get relegated. But wait a minute. I thought parking the bus is the smart thing to do. Those teams should be winning La Liga every fucking season, right? Glenn says, bro, our midfield was better without Frankie. I think Frankie played the whole time, no? Or did he come off during this? I thought Frankie played the whole time. But I'm not here to defend Frankie. I'm just trying to remember what happened during the match. Normal Timo says we need better competition on the left back and wing, and that's all we need for next season. That will do. I mean, that's what Flick has requested. And Solitude says, what is more important to get for Barca next season? Backup left back or right back? Whoo! That's a good question, my friend. I would say left back. And the reason why is because I think Eric Garcia could be a really good rotation option for Koundé. I mean, I thought he had an incredible match yesterday. Obviously not good as Koundé, because Koundé is Koundé. That's his position. He had a great match when he played on the left too. So I think Eric Garcia could be a really decent option to compete with Koundé. Have Koundé start and then have Eric, give him rest. So I would say maybe a left back. But anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. I will be posting another video later tonight because there is more news to cover. I will see you in that video. And as always, Visca Barça.